Hi, good morning, everybody. How are you? My name is Attorney Charles Zavala here from Zavala Texas Law. We're an immigration law firm based here in beautiful Houston, Texas, but we can help you no matter where you are in the world. We can help you with any immigration matters you have. If you guys have been following our YouTube channel, you'll see that we mostly post videos in English and in Spanish relating to immigration, criminal, business cases. Most of these videos are there so that we can help y'all with questions that people have, and that's part of why we enjoy doing these videos, because people ask questions and we like to have the answers. So today's video isn't going to be specific to one type of topic. Today is going to be kind of a recap of what happened in 2021 in the scheme of immigration, right? So maybe a little longer video than you guys are used to. I'm going to try to make it kind of short, brief, to the point. There are a few topics I want to tackle. I'm not going to be able to tackle all the topics. So if you're coming here just to know everything that happened in 2021 with immigration, it's not going to be, I don't know if this will be the video for you, but you will gain a lot of information. So first off, what are we at? Today it's February 2022. So what has changed in 2021, the calendar year? So we got a new president, right? That's going to be big. But there were also a lot of changes in immigration laws or immigration protocols and how everyday business or immigration is being ran. So the first one I would like to start off with that I think is very big, and I think they need to address this, but they just haven't yet, is DACA. I don't know if y'all remember DACA. It tends to come up in the news every once in a while whenever it's at issue. But DACA is a program that is for children, or they don't have to be children anymore, but that they came over when they were children, and if they meet certain qualifications, they can get what's called deferred status, which means that they're allowed to live here, they're allowed to go to school, they're allowed to work. Doesn't make them a citizen or a resident, but it does grant them some sort of temporary status. This was created by Obama back in, I think, 2012. Yes, I think it was 2012. But so when Trump came, Trump kind of blocked that, right? So it got a little bit more difficult. So one of the things that Biden was promising is that whenever he comes back in, he is going to create some sort of path to citizenship for the people who have DACA, right? As of now, that hasn't happened yet, right? And that's very frustrating for everyone who has DACA or family members or things along those lines. So that's just kind of where we are in the scheme of DACA. But this is what happened. Ultimately, Trump, right before he left, he essentially closed DACA, saying, "Look, there's no DACA for people who are applying for the first time. If you're renewing, all right, whatever, then we're gonna let that slide. But for people applying for the first time, we're not gonna do it, right?" So then Biden came in and said, "No, you know what? Ignore what Trump said. We're gonna open it again." So USCIS, that's the agency that's in charge of handling all the most of immigration applications, they opened DACA again to people who were eligible, which is fantastic. We had people calling who said, "Hey, look, I'm eligible for DACA, but I never applied. This is a breath of fresh air. I'm excited, blah, blah, blah," which is great. So we were applying for DACA. However, unfortunately, I think in summer of 2021, a federal judge blocked DACA again, right? So now we're back in the same position. DACA is halted. So if you're renewing, that's fine, but they're not taking any new applicants, and that's where we're at right now in the state of DACA. Right, so I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's good that the current administration hasn't done anything to push forward for DACA when they said that that was going to be one of their things that they were going to try to do. They haven't done any of that. So DACA right now is on pause. I don't think that's good for the immigrant who wants to come or who's already here who wants to apply for DACA. So that's kind of a bummer. Okay, so that's one thing we need to know that happened in 2021. DACA opened up at the beginning of the year, but then by the summer, a federal judge closed it. Right now, they're fighting it, they're appealing it, they're going to do all that stuff, but until then, it is closed. So that's something that you need to know. If you submitted an application to apply for the first time, it's not denied, right? USCIS just has them all picture like a big pile, and they're going to hang on to them until they figure out what the courts are going to say. So if they approve it, fantastic. They'll process them all. If not, they will, I'm assuming, deny it. Right now, they are all impending. So that's a very big thing that happened with DACA this year in 2021. Another thing that happened that was very interesting, and this only really applies to people who from the country of Venezuela, is a TPS. It stands for Temporary Protected Status. And what that is it's a law that they can pass, the government passes, or they say they give status, a temporary status, kind of like DACA, but a little different, to people from Venezuela. And the criteria was set. They had to have been here by March, a certain day, I think it was March 8th or 7th of 2021, and they have to be from Venezuela. And the reason why they did this is to protect the people who are here from Venezuela to not have to go back to their country, was just dealing with a lot of turmoil right now. Some people like this, some people don't. Some people say, well, look, Venezuela isn't the only country that's suffering, right? A lot of Latin America, a lot of Middle East, a lot of why are we being playing favorites with Venezuela? I wish I could tell you that answer, right? Unfortunately, the way laws are written, there's special interest, things along those lines. But TPS was very big for Venezuelans. So people who were here, whether you were legally or illegally here before that date, I want to say it was March 8th, 2021, and you are a Venezuelan, then you could apply for this TPS, temporary protected status. And that would give you status to live here. It's not permanent, remember, it's temporary, but it's better than nothing. And then two, a work permit. So that's great. So that's really important. So if you or someone you know may be eligible for that, look it up. It's TPS for Venezuela. That was a very big life changer for a lot of people from Venezuela. So that was, I would think, one of the big headlines of 2021 as well. Let me see here. I'm looking at my notes right here that I write down. Ooh, another very interesting topic and kind of heated conversation was asylum, right? People always hear the word asylum and migrants coming to the border and that they want to ask for asylum. So a question we always get, well, what is asylum? And I'll try to give you a small little breakdown instead of the long answer, because if you want the long answer, you can go to those 3-day seminars we go to where they just attack every single thing. But ultimately, what asylum is this. If you are a person and you're fearing past, present, or future persecution in your home country based off of one of the grounds that are listed in the laws, it's race, religion, political opinion, particular group, and nationality. If for one of those reasons you're suffering persecution, your government's not willing to help you, and you can show this persecution, you can come and apply for asylum. Asylum is not a slam dunk. I may make a video about this in the future, which is kind of maybe slightly unpopular because I've talked with other lawyers about this, and they don't really agree with my view, but there are other lawyers who do about whether asylum is worth it or not. And I'll make another video talking about that. But ultimately, this is what happened. In the past few years, since I would say 2016, there's been a huge flux of migrants coming to our southern border. So what applying for asylum. So normally what happens is they enter the country or they come to the border. The government would document all their information, give them a piece of paper that says, look, you got to show up for court date. And then they show up for court date, right? But the truth is a lot of people don't show up for court date, right? So they kind of just disappear into the population. So which is a bad thing if you're trying to keep track of people and if you're trying to get people to go to court, because ultimately you're just letting people in and now they're just disappearing in the country and we never hear back from them again. So what Trump did is they enacted something called the MPP, Migrant Protection Protocol, and the name's a little misleading in my opinion. But what happens is this: if somebody comes to the southern border and wants to apply for asylum, instead of allowing them in the country and doing that process, the MPP program says, no, 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 you have to stay there. In fact, it was even called the Remain in Mexico program. And they said, look, we'll allow you to apply for asylum, but you got to do it while you wait in Mexico, right? So the good thing about this is the USA government says, well, good, we don't have a huge flux of people coming into the country. They can remain in Mexico while they do their asylum, everything's good. The bad side about that is there's a lot of people who are coming, right? And all those people are having to remain in those border towns. Those border towns are not safe. There's people being extorted, there's fraud, there's all those sorts of things. So that was a really big problem with the MPP. And they were saying it's unfair because a lot of these people, the border towns in Mexico are not better than the countries they were leaving. So a lot of the Trump administration got a lot of pushback on that. But either way, the MPP program was in place. Biden came in, and now we're back in 2021, and he closed the MPP program, which a lot of pro-immigrant advocates were saying, hey, this is fantastic, right? We can go back to how we used to, where they would come in, we would apply for asylum, they would go to court, all that stuff, which was good. However, in my opinion, and from what I'm reading a lot, is the problem is when they started allowing all these people back in, the same problem started happening. People weren't showing up for courts. There was too many people. The immigration courts are extremely backlogged. So kind of in a funny way, they reinstated the MPP, right? So the MPP program is back in place right now, which means that people cannot just come in, ask for asylum, and be granted access into the country. So they're having to remain in Mexico again. So that is a very kind of similar to the DACA, a big flip-flop. They said open, then they closed it. MPP closed it, now they brought it back open. So that's a very big change in 2021, I would say, that the MPP program is back in place right now. So if you are from let's just say this our hemisphere, right? You're from Central America, South America, and you're coming up through the southern border to come to USA. The MPP is in place right now, and they are not going to let you come into the country. That's our understanding. That's what I'm dealing with my clients, what we're talking about. So that is something very important that happened in 2021. Let me see here. Looking at my notes. Oh yeah. So as part of this asylum, right? People are going to always ask, well, who are these people that are coming? Why are they coming? Blah 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 blah. A lot of these people are coming from what they call the three countries in Central America. They call it kind of the Golden Triangle. So Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. And the reason why they're coming is those countries are facing poverty, they're facing corrupt governments, and they are facing a lot of criminal syndicates, gangs along those lines. So people are, they don't have other options, so they would rather take the trek to come up to the USA. So, as part of that, the Biden administration, with our Vice President Kamala Harris, she's the one who's kind of been spearheading this immigration issue. We made a deal with those three countries where a bunch of we're going to pump money into those countries, hoping that that can improve the situation, thus reducing the flux of the migrant flow coming to the southern border. Will this work? Some people say yes, some people say no. The people who say yes say, look, if you put money into these governments and you put jobs and you put the right politicians in place, everything's going to start working. Other people are going to say, look, why are we giving money to the same groups that are already causing this trouble? Everyone can have their own opinion, but that is an approach that the U.S. government's going to do. We'll see how that goes. Another big issue in 2021 was the backlogs. And this is very important because not only for my clients, but for anybody who's got anything going with immigration, do not be upset because there's nothing we can do about it. And when I mean we, I mean you, us, blah, blah, blah. So what's happening is this, there's a huge backlog, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people are still applying for benefits, green cards, citizenship, um, work visas, all this stuff. And what happens is due to COVID, due to the labor shortages, there aren't enough workers doing it. So we have seen the processing of these cases grown huge. Things that used to take 4 to 5 months are taking a year. Things that used to take 8 to 10 months are taking a year and a half, and it's worse. There are some applications that are taking 2 years. It's definitely a bad situation to be in. But the question is, what can we do to fix it? It's tough, right? It's tough. Some people are going to say, well, we need to reduce the amount of people that can migrate. Other people are going to say we need to put a better system in place. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there is a very large backlog, and that's frustrating employers. That's frustrating us attorneys because our clients aren't happy, and that's ultimately frustrating the immigrants. So that's a very big issue that's been happening in 2021, and they're trying to figure out what can they do to fix this. Okay, so that I would say is a very big news in 21, and the same is happening with the courtrooms. I think as of now, so I'll just give you an example. Houston has three immigration courthouses, but not every city has a courthouse. Most states maybe have one, two, or three, but there's a lot more migrants coming. So as of now, or not as of now, but as of a few months ago when I read this article, and I think we did a video about this, there was 1.5 million cases backlogged, right? And you may say, oh, what does that mean? I don't know in the scheme of stuff. It means that some of my clients aren't having to show up to court till 2024, 2025, which some people say, oh, well, that's good. It gives them more time here. You're not rushing but on the other side is they're kind of in limbo. They can't do anything until that date happens. So that has been a very, very, very big constant in 2021, dealing with all the immigration backlogs. So how is this going to be fixed? I don't know. I'm along for the ride just like you guys are. I mean, I have my ideas, but we'll see what ultimately happens. But so far, 2021 was a very interesting year. Would I say it was in favor of the immigrant or not? I would say it wasn't. I mean, I feel like as an immigration attorney, a lot of us were looking forward to the Biden administration because they were promising, and this isn't a partisan, I'm not saying I'm red or I'm blue, but they were promising a lot of things that would benefit immigrants, especially DACA. That's one that I feel stand very strongly behind. But as of now, nothing has happened, so that's very frustrating. So I would say 2021 was not a win for the immigrants. However, we can see what kind of happens in the future, right? We always got to take it day by day. But in my opinion, this is kind of the 2021 year recap for immigration. We saw DACA open, we saw DACA close. We saw the Migrant Protection Protocol close, then we saw it open again. We saw TPS for Venezuelans. We saw backlogs. We saw a lot of things that I want to say are, well, TPS was very good actually, but a lot of other things that I would say that don't help the immigrant. So, I hope you find this video easy. I try to make these videos conversational so that people can kind of understand the situation that's going on. But yeah, I mean, that's where we are right now. Also with employment visas, that kind of has changed a little bit. They did increase by 20,000 the H-2B cap. I may make another video about that. But still, I mean, this was 2021. Hopefully 2022 favors a little better. I would like to see DACA, a program for DACA, and I would also like to see the processing times cut short. Right. One of the great things that USCIS does is they allow premium processing for business cases. So ultimately, if you pay an extra $1,500 or $2,500, they'll usually give you your answer within 15 days. So they say. In my opinion, it's more about a month. But yeah, how great would that be if you could have your case processed in that short and you just got to pay a little extra money, which I get it. Not everybody has money, but if you can pay that, hell, that may be worth it to get at the front of the line, right? So that's just my opinion. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, guys. If there's any questions y'all have, feel free to give us a call. You can schedule up the phone number right there. The phone appointments will be with me, and then we can take it from there, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.